Welcome to Mythos AI, your source for Cliff's Notes on complex subjects. Join Anna and Phil for yet another engaging conversation.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be exploring David Fincher's Fight Club, a film really brimming with psychological depth. You've shared an insightful academic analysis with us called Fight Club, a psychological analysis of identity and rebellion. And that's going to be kind of our compass for this deep dive. We're going to dissect the movie's exploration of identity, rebellion, and societal disillusionment, focusing specifically on Tyler Durden, of course, Marla Singer, and the film's really clever use of symbolism and cinematic techniques. To guide our analysis, we're going to be using Freud's theory of the psyche, the id, the ego, and the superego.
Yeah, this psychological framework provides a really powerful lens for us to understand the character's motivations and the film's underlying messages.
Okay, so let's start then with the unnamed narrator, often referred to as Jack. A man grappling with insomnia and this really profound dissatisfaction with his consumerist life. This feeling of emptiness is captured in the recurring line, a copy of a copy of a copy.
Yes.
And it really highlights his sense of detachment from himself and the world around him, leading him on this desperate search for meaning and connection.
Yeah.
Which ultimately brings him to the enigmatic Tyler Durden, a soap salesman who embodies rebellion and freedom from those societal norms.
Yeah. What's interesting here is that Tyler himself presents kind of a paradox. You know, he vehemently criticizes consumerism, but then he utilizes subliminal advertising, which is, a manipulative tool of the very system that he claims to reject.
Yeah, absolutely. And these subliminal flashes of Tyler appearing even before his formal introduction are crucial. They foreshadow his growing influence on the narrator and hint at this internal struggle brewing within him. So maybe we can break down these four key instances.
Yeah. Sure. So the first flash occurs at Jack's workplace, surrounded by copy machines, which, reinforces that feeling of being just a cog in this corporate machine. The second flash happens at a doctor's appointment, where the doctor kind of dismisses Jack's insomnia and suggests, witnessing real pain at a support group. And Tyler flashes, as the doctor says, pain, which emphasizes, Jack's invalidation and desperation.
I see.
The third flash occurs during a support group session, just as the leader is encouraging vulnerability. And this is significant because Tyler, a symbol of rebellion against such emotional openness, momentarily obstructs it, foreshadowing how he will hinder Jack's attempts at genuine connection.
Interesting.
And finally, the fourth flash occurs right after Jack encounters Marla Singer, another, lost soul seeking solace in these support groups. As Jack turns to look at Marla, intrigued, Tyler flashes, almost blocking her from view. This visual cue powerfully portrays how Tyler's emergence acts as a barrier to Jack's connection with Marla, signifying his inability to engage with genuine emotions.
I see that. And these subliminal flashes, so strategically placed by Fincher, they function as this almost like a psychological invasion.
Right.
Mirroring Tyler's gradual infiltration and eventual dominance over Jack's psyche.
Exactly.
And the irony of Tyler using, what is really a manipulative advertising tactic just adds another layer of complexity to his character. Now, speaking of Marla Singer, her role is really pivotal, right? In unsettling the narrator's carefully constructed reality and ultimately triggering the emergence of Tyler Durden. The narrator himself acknowledges this impact, by stating all of this, the gun, the bombs, the revolution, has something to do with a girl named Marla Singer.
Right. Her presence just disrupts his carefully curated world, forcing him to confront the emotions he's been suppressing. She attends support groups for illnesses she doesn't have, mirroring Jack's own deception, and further challenging these carefully constructed coping mechanisms.
And one of the most striking symbols of Marla's influence is the shattered yin-yang table in Jack's apartment after it explodes. Maybe we can analyze this a little deeper.
Yeah, certain. So the yin-yang symbol represents that balance of opposing forces.
Right?
Black symbolizing feminine energy and white representing masculine energy. The
Mhm.
black charcoal dust seeping into that white space after the explosion. It visually represents Marla's disruptive influence on the narrator's carefully maintained masculine facade.
Interesting.
It throws him off balance, pushing him further towards Tyler's sphere of influence.
Right. And this brings us to Freud's theory of the psyche, which is a framework that's really essential to understanding these complexities of the narrator's psychological journey
Right.
and the film's deeper meaning. Freud's theory suggests that the human psyche consists of three distinct but interacting parts: the id, the ego, and the superego.
Mm-hmm.
And to put it very simply, the id is that primitive instinctual part of the mind that contains, sexual and aggressive drives and hidden memories.
Yeah.
The superego operates as a moral conscience, and the ego is that realistic part that mediates between the desires of the id and the superego.
Right, and the film brilliantly illustrates the conflict between these elements within the narrator. His meticulously furnished apartment filled with designer furniture and, catalog perfect decor. That embodies a superego.
So it's a symbol of his pursuit of perfection, of control and acceptance through those material possessions.
Mhm.
It showcases how his identity is really intricately linked to consumerism and societal approval. But then when the apartment explodes,
Mm-hmm.
this signifies the destruction of his superego and that carefully constructed life that he's built around it.
Yes, and the shattered yin-yang table further emphasizes this collapse of his internal balance,
Right.
representing the disintegration of his materialistic identity and those societal norms he once clung to.
And this destruction creates a void, an emptiness that the id, embodied by Tyler, begins to
Without the external structures of his apartment, his possessions, the narrator's adherence to those societal norms weakens, and he becomes more susceptible to the, raw, instinctual pull of his id,
Yeah.
personified by Tyler Durden.
And after the explosion, the narrator moves into a dilapidated house on Paper Street with Tyler. Now, the term Paper Street in cartography refers to a street that appears on maps but doesn't actually exist in the real world,
Right.
which is a fitting metaphor for the narrator's increasingly distorted reality.
Absolutely. This house, with its decaying structure and chaotic atmosphere, it really serves as a visual representation of the narrator's internal struggle. The house embodies the ego, desperately attempting to find balance between those conflicting forces of the id and the remnants of the superego.
And it's from the basement of this house, a space traditionally associated with those primal instincts.
Yeah.
That Tyler Durden emerges, right? The embodiment of the id.
Yeah, as the film progresses, we see the space monkeys, the members of Project Mayhem, gradually taking over the house,
Right.
signifying the id's growing dominance over the ego.
Yeah, and this visual takeover mirrors the narrator's internal turmoil,
Yeah.
demonstrating how his grip on reality weakens as the basement, the core of the id, becomes really the driving force behind his actions.
Mm-hmm.
And this shift highlights the fragility of the ego, when the superego has been obliterated, leaving the id unchecked. And this leads us to Project Mayhem, the heart of the id's rebellion, and a manifestation of the narrator's unfettered desires.
Yeah, Project Mayhem, aptly named, is the embodiment of unrestrained chaos, emerging from the basement, that symbolic space of primal urges. Project Mayhem represents the complete abandonment of societal norms, fueled by rebellion, violence, and a desire to dismantle the very foundations of the system the narrator wants it adhered to.
And the name Project Mayhem itself really reflects that escalating disorder within the narrator's mind.
Yeah.
As Project Mayhem gains momentum, its members, the space monkeys, become these agents of chaos, carrying out increasingly destructive acts that mirror the id's takeover of the narrator's internal world, spilling over into external reality.
Right.
It's a fascinating, albeit unsettling depiction of what happens when that carefully maintained balance between the id, the ego, and the superego is completely disrupted.
Indeed, the film masterfully utilizes visual metaphors and symbolism to illustrate the narrator's descent into chaos, offering this really powerful commentary on the consequences of repressing one's primal instincts and clinging to a hollow consumerist existence. And as Project Mayhem spirals out of control, the narrator begins to question Tyler's motives and the path they've embarked on.
He realizes that Tyler's vision of rebellion, it's become twisted, destructive, ultimately nihilistic.
And that realization that he and Tyler are the same person, that's a pivotal moment in the film. It's a moment of profound self-awareness and recognizing that duality within himself.
He sees the monster he's become, the havoc he's wreaked under Tyler's influence, and he's horrified by his own actions.
And that realization is a real turning point in his journey. He starts to grapple with the consequences of his choices and the destructive power of, rebellion that's gone unchecked.
Well, the ending of Fight Club, it's visually stunning, but also thematically complex.
Yeah.
And it really does leave the viewers with more questions than answers. The narrator's decision to shoot himself, seemingly eliminating Tyler, that's a crucial turning point.
Right. It's his attempt, right? This desperate attempt to wrestle back control over his own mind, his psyche, to subdue that id that's caused so much chaos in his life, driven him to this point of self-destruction.
But the lingering question is Tyler truly gone? The embodiment of the id. Now, let's shift our focus to the final scene of the film, where we encounter a single-frame splice of a penis, a seemingly jarring detail. That ties back to Tyler's job as a projectionist and carries a much deeper meaning.
Yeah, earlier in the film, we see Tyler splicing pornographic images into family-friendly movies. And this act, initially played for laughs, takes on a more profound significance in the context of the film's conclusion.
Right.
The spliced penis in the final scene, it's a subtle yet impactful detail, suggests that Tyler's influence might not be as easily eradicated as the narrator believes.
Yeah. And this deliberate breaking of the fourth wall makes us question the true resolution of the narrator's internal struggle. Yeah. I mean, is Tyler Durden the embodiment of the id? Is he truly vanquished? Or does this spliced image imply that he was the projectionist manipulating the narrative all along?
That's the unsettling ambiguity that makes the film so compelling. It leaves us pondering the enduring power of the id and the possibility that Tyler's influence lingers within the narrator and perhaps even within, society as a whole.
It raises this crucial question: can we ever truly escape the darker aspects of ourselves? Or are they an intrinsic part of our being, forever influencing our thoughts and actions? And adding to that ambiguity is the final image of the skyscrapers collapsing as the narrator and Marla stand hand in hand, seemingly witnessing the destruction of the very systems that they've been rebelling against.
Right, and that symbolic collapse, it represents a rejection, doesn't it, of that consumerism, those societal structures that perpetuate this feeling of emptiness and conformity. You see the skyscrapers, right? These symbols of corporate power and material excess, they crumble before their eyes. And it suggests this dismantling of the world that they once knew.
But the film doesn't explicitly tell us. Does this destruction lead to genuine liberation? Or does it just usher in some new form of chaos? It's uncertain. The film leaves us pondering those implications of the narrator's actions and the enduring power of the id, challenging us to really think about those potential consequences of unchecked rebellion, but also, the suppression of our primal instincts as well.
Fight Club as a whole, it really compels us to confront the darker aspects of human nature and the complexities of identity. And it doesn't shy away from those uncomfortable truths about our desires, our vulnerabilities, and this constant struggle between our need for connection, but also, our need for individuality.
It demands multiple viewings, this film, and really thoughtful analysis. Those themes, they resonate so deeply. They make you question your own beliefs and the forces that shape our lives, urging us to seek a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world we live in.
And as we wrap up this deep dive into Fight Club, we really encourage you to keep exploring the film's rich symbolism, those complex characters, and its thought-provoking message. Think about the questions that it raises about societal norms, about the allure, but also the danger of rebellion, and that ongoing battle between our primal instincts and the constraints of civilization.
Thank you for joining us on this journey into the depths of Fight Club. We hope this deep dive has given you some new insights, maybe a deeper appreciation for the film's enduring power and its relevance.
Remember, Fight Club it's more than just a film. It's a mirror reflecting our collective anxieties, our desires, and that enduring human struggle to find meaning and connection in a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming.
Thanks for listening to Mythos AI. Stay tuned for more concise insights. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes.